The clock above the emergency room doors didn't seem to move. Maybe it was moving, but through my tears, everything looked blurry. After a while, a nurse walked out slowly, pulling off her gloves. She didn't have to say a word. I already knew. Ethan was gone. My husband. My best friend. One minute, he was driving home from work. The next minute, his heart stopped behind the wheel. A silent heart attack. Quick and cruel. The doctors said he probably didn't feel any pain. But I did. I sat alone in a cold hospital hallway, shaking. I held the strap of my purse tightly, like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. Without thinking, I picked up my phone. I needed someone. Anyone. I called my mom. "Mom, it's Ethan," I whispered, my voice breaking. "He's gone. He's gone. Can you please come? I can't do this alone." In the background, I heard dishes clinking, music playing, people laughing. "Oh, honey," she said casually. "We're at your sister's birthday dinner right now. Can it wait until tomorrow? Everyone's here, and we just brought out the cake." I couldn't even respond. "Try to get some sleep," she added. "We'll check in soon." Then she hung up. They never came that night. They didn't come the next morning either. Not even when I went to the funeral home. I signed the papers myself. I chose Ethan's casket. I explained to our 8-year-old daughter, Claire, that her father wasn't coming home. All by myself. 3 days later, my parents finally showed up. No hugs. No flowers. Just polite nods and sad-looking faces. Mom sat on the couch and said, "So, did Ethan leave everything to you?" Legally, inheritance can get complicated, especially when family is involved. My dad added, "You remember we helped with the down payment for this house. It's only fair that we get our share now that everything is being sorted out." Claire was standing quietly in the doorway, listening to everything. She slipped away for a moment. When she came back, she was holding a white envelope with shaking hands. "Here," she said, walking toward them. "This is what you came for, right?" My parents froze. Mom slowly took the envelope. Inside was a letter I had prepared. It explained Ethan's will, the trust, and exactly what he had left behind. But Claire didn't wait for their reaction. She walked back to me, took my hand, and softly said, "Mom, can we go home now?" My name is Anna Graves. Wherever you're watching this from, stay with me for a moment. Losing the love of your life feels like a kind of death. But being forgotten by your own family, that pain never really goes away. Growing up, I always believed that if I did everything right, my parents would finally notice me. If I got good grades, stayed quiet, and never caused problems, maybe they would look at me the way they looked at my sister Lily. Lily was the golden child. She got the prettier dresses, the extra desserts, and the loudest cheers at graduation. Even when she barely passed her classes, people still loved her laugh. I was quieter, easy to forget. When I met Ethan in college, for the first time in my life, I felt truly seen. Not just looked at, but understood. He wasn't flashy or rich. He worked as a paramedic and often came home smelling like hospitals and long shifts. But he was kind. He listened when I talked. He held me when I cried. But, to my parents, he wasn't good enough. "He's just average, Anna," my mom once said. "Don't you want something better? What can a man like that really give you?" They refused to come to our wedding. They said it was too sudden. So we eloped in a small garden ceremony. Just the two of us, and Claire growing quietly inside me. Ethan kissed my forehead and promised me that no matter what happened, he would always stand by my side. 1 month later, my parents threw Lily a huge engagement party. There were ice sculptures, fancy decorations, and even fireworks. They posted dozens of photos online, but they never once asked how my married life was going. When Claire was born, I sent them pictures. Weeks passed before they replied. When they finally visited, my mom held Claire carefully and said politely, "She's sweet, though she looks more like Ethan than you." They never called on her birthdays, never asked what she liked. But when Lily had twins, my parents built a full nursery in their house. Claire noticed. Children always notice. One day she asked me quietly, "Mom, why don't Grandma and Grandpa want to play with me?" I told her they were just busy. But deep down, I knew the truth. We didn't fit the image they wanted. We weren't flashy or impressive. We were just quietly happy. And for my family, that was never enough. So Ethan and I built our own life without them. Sunday morning pancakes, running through sprinklers in the backyard, dancing together in grocery store aisles. We didn't have much money, but our home was full of real love. And when Ethan died, the only arms that held me were Claire's. Not my mother's. Not my father's. They were too busy celebrating Lily's birthday to hear my heart break. And when they finally came, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for Claire. It was for what they thought they deserved. Even after Ethan's death, I still came second. Grief doesn't move in a straight line. It stumbles, stops, and sometimes swallows you whole. During the first week after Ethan died, I felt like a ghost in my own life. I planned the funeral alone. I chose the flowers, the music, the words people would hear. Claire stayed close to me the whole time. She followed me from room to room, holding my hand like she was the one keeping me strong. My parents never sent flowers. They never offered to help. Instead, Lily posted a black and white selfie online with a caption. R.I.P. my sister's husband. Life is short. Love your people. She even spelled Ethan's name wrong. At the funeral, my parents arrived 10 minutes late. They sat in the back and left immediately after. They didn't say a single word to Claire. 2 days later, my mom called. Her voice sounded soft and caring. Hi, sweetie, how are you holding up? For a moment, I almost cried hearing that kindness in her voice, until she said, we were thinking maybe we could stop by and talk. They came the next morning dressed like they were meeting with a lawyer. My dad even wore a tie. We sat in the living room. Ethan's slippers were still beside the fireplace. My mom looked around and began carefully. Well, Ethan had a house and some savings, right? We know he wasn't wealthy, but... She looked at my father. Dad cleared his throat. It's just that technically we're family too. With situations like this, it's best to be transparent about what he left behind and how it might be divided. My heart didn't break in that moment. It hardened. They didn't come to check on us. They came to check on the money. They didn't ask how Claire was sleeping. They didn't say they missed Ethan. They came for one thing, money. I'm sorry, I said, swallowing the scream in my chest. Are you asking if Ethan left you anything? Mom gave a tight, polite smile. Well, we helped over the years. The down payment, remember? It's only fair. Claire stood frozen in the hallway, clutching her sketchbook. They didn't notice her, but I did. That night, she climbed into bed with me and whispered. They were talking about Daddy's money. I stroked her hair gently. Yes, baby. But that's nothing that matters to us. Inside me, something shifted. They hadn't lost a son-in-law. They hadn't mourned him. They didn't even really know him. All they saw was an opportunity. Fake sympathy wrapped around a calculator. And that's when I realized. They weren't grieving. They were planning. I had never believed in loud revenge, the kind that shouts, smashes, burns. But silence can be a different kind of fire. The next morning, I called Ethan's lawyer, Mr. O, a quiet man with kind eyes who had once told me, Ethan may not have been rich in money, but he's rich in preparation. He had been right. Ethan had left everything in perfect order. Living trust, detailed will, Claire's college fund, life insurance, emergency documents, every possible protection, even in death. Mr. O met me with a folder labeled Anna Graves and Claire, personal and confidential. We went through it page by page. Every cent, every document, every decision. Claire and I were the only beneficiaries. Nothing for my parents. Nothing for Lily. No loopholes. No drama. I want to add a clause, I told him. No one, no blood relative, can contest this estate. He nodded. Smart. It's your right. I updated beneficiaries, closed every door they might try to slip through. Then I went home and started building my fortress. A real, locked folder. Inside, copies of the will, trust statements, a letter detailing harassment, screenshots of my parents' messages, and one handwritten note from Ethan. Whatever happens, protect Claire first. She's our legacy. I wasn't angry anymore. I was ready. That night, as I sat at the kitchen table sorting papers, Claire appeared, rubbing her eyes and clutching her stuffed bear. "What are you doing, Mommy?" she asked. "Just organizing things," I whispered. She looked at the papers and then at me. "They're coming for what's not theirs, huh?" I closed the folder, knelt down, and looked into her eyes.
"Yes.
But they'll leave with what they deserve. And you, my love, you'll get everything your daddy wanted for you." The next day, they rang the doorbell. My parents, standing there with a Tupperware of lemon cake and smiles that belonged in a church funeral, polished, practiced, empty.
"Hi, sweetie," Mom said.
"We just wanted to check in, see how you're coping." I let them in, not out of kindness, but so they could finally see what Ethan had built with his own hands. The home was alive with memories, Claire's crayon drawings, photos of laughter and joy, simple treasures, not wealth. They sat stiffly, commenting on the rug, the scented candles, the furniture. Dad cleared his throat. "We know this is a difficult time, and we want to be respectful, but we also want to make sure things are handled fairly. Ethan was part of our family, too." Mom added quickly, "Surely he'd want to honor all the people in his life." That's when Claire stepped forward, calm and resolute, holding a sealed white envelope in both hands.
"This is for you," she said.
"That's why you came, right?" Mom's fingers shook as she took it. Inside was a certified copy of Ethan's will, every asset legally bound to me and Claire. The trust document, with Claire's name bold and undeniable. And one photo, me at 5, arms crossed, tears in my eyes, Mom beside me staring at her phone. A sticky note read, "This is the last time you ever held me. Don't pretend to care now." The room went silent. Mom's lips parted, no sound. Dad looked ghostly pale. Claire stood tall, voice steady. Daddy left everything to the people who truly loved him. That's what he wanted. They didn't argue.
Couldn't.
The truth arrived in paper, not fire. Legal, unshakable, cold, earned. They placed the envelope back on the coffee table and left. I didn't walk them out. Claire didn't say goodbye. The only sound was the slow creak of the floorboards, as if the house itself had waited years for them to leave. The storm hit the next morning. Not rain, not thunder. A barrage of furious texts and voicemails. My mother's voice, high-pitched, angry, frantic. "How dare you humiliate us after everything we've done?" Dad's message was cold and clipped. "You think this is over? Just wait until the family hears what kind of daughter you are." Claire and I had already read every page of the documents she handed them. No loopholes.
No cracks.
Just locks. Airtight, ironclad, untouchable. Predictably, they performed. Lily called next, sighing dramatically. "I'm not picking sides, but they're your parents. Maybe give them something, anything." I didn't yell. I didn't defend. I asked one question. "Do you remember your wedding?" She paused. "Of course." "Do you remember the $30,000 they spent on the venue? The designer dress? The private chef? And the down payment on your first home?" Silence. "I paid for my own wedding," I said. "They didn't show up." Ethan and I slept in a borrowed motel room that night. No gifts. No calls. More silence. "They raised you."
They tolerated me.
That was the last time Lily called. But the story didn't stay quiet. Our cousin Leah, blunt and unfiltered, texted me after seeing the family group chat unfold. "Your mom's trying to say you stole from the family, but I saw the documents. Claire's name is on everything. Ethan protected you. I respect that." Others reached out slowly, carefully, some offering support, some apologizing for never seeing the favoritism. They'd always thought I was just distant. Now they understood I was surviving. Mom and Dad tried to spin it. Anna turned cold after Ethan died. "She's poisoning the child. She's unstable with grief." But their story unraveled. Every desperate move, every performance, they were met with polite nods, not applause. I never raised my voice. I never dragged them through the mud. I didn't have to. Truth was louder than anything they had left. In the silence they once used to ignore me, they now sat alone, isolated, humiliated. Not because I destroyed them, but because they finally had to live in the world they built without me. We moved in early spring. The new house wasn't big. 2 bedrooms, a small garden, a porch that creaked when Claire jumped too hard, which she did often. But it was ours. No ghosts. No shadows. No obligations. Claire's room was painted light blue. She taped her drawings to the walls. In the evenings, she'd sit by the window reading like her dad used to, whispering to the sky as if telling him about her day. She thrived at school, winning art contests, raising her hand, laughing with that wide-open smile she used to hide. Her teacher told me, "Claire has a calm confidence I rarely see in kids." I smiled. She gets it from her dad. I changed too. One morning, I left a sticky note at the community center. "Grieving isn't weakness. Come sit with someone who gets it." 5 women showed up. Then 9. Then 15. Just tea, folding chairs, honesty. No comparisons, no competitions. Slowly, I stopped drowning. Late one night, I wrote down everything, from the hospital call to the envelope Claire handed over, and posted it anonymously on a women's support forum. They came for the inheritance. My daughter gave them the truth. It went viral. Comments poured in. Women everywhere wrote, "This is my story too. You gave me courage. Your daughter is a lion, just like her mother." I didn't respond to all, but I read every word. Then I did something that made me cry differently. I opened a scholarship in Ethan's name, the Ethan Graves Foundation for Daughters Who Are Ignored. Small annual grants for girls raised in toxic homes, money for books, therapy, escape funds. The first recipient sent a note. "Thank you. You give us hope." I framed an old photo of Ethan holding Claire on his shoulders, both laughing, faces tilted to the sun. It sits on my nightstand. That night, I kissed the glass and whispered, "I told you I'd protect her." Fast forward, the auditorium was full of applause. Claire, 14 now, taller and braver than I ever was, read her acceptance speech for the Young Leader in Arts and Advocacy Award. She organized a mural project for underserved schools. Each piece represented a child who felt unseen. She had turned pain into paint, just like her father turned quiet into strength. She scanned the crowd, her eyes landing on me. A proud, healing smile. I stood, clapping with everything I had. Then my phone buzzed.
Mom.
For a second, I stared at it. I hadn't blocked her, but I didn't need to see the life she had walked away from. Without hesitation, I silenced the call and slid the phone into my purse. Outside, the sky was soft and golden, like it understood the moment. Claire walked beside me, holding her glass award. "Mom," she asked gently, "do you ever miss them?" I paused. "I miss the parents I wished I had," I said slowly, "but I don't miss who they really were." She nodded, not sadness, just understanding. We stopped at the top of a small hill behind the venue. Below, her mural wrapped a gray building in bright, brave colors. No villains. No blame. Just strength. Just memory. Just forward motion. "Did Daddy ever think we'd end up okay?" she asked. I smiled through the lump in my throat. He knew we would. He made sure of it. She leaned into me. Together, we walked down the hill, the golden light stretching behind us. The noise faded. The drama died. What remained was ours. Because some people come for the inheritance, but love that's truly yours never leaves.